Hey guys, this is Peter Monk. I am here in my studio, my very small little studio with stuffed with nice equipment. So I want to give you a little brief tour so you can see what kind of equipment I use and how my studio looks in general. I'm going to walk you through some of the nice gear and analog stuff I have. Alright, this is my 3 keyboards, the ones that I have room for in the studio. I have an extra Juno 106 in the closet over there, but this is what I mostly use. I actually prefer the Juno 60 for the 106 because it has the arpeggiator, which is quite nice, and it has a little bit more bottom end to it, in my opinion. So and the memory doesn't work, so I have to program everything from scratch every time I use it, which is you know, it makes me a little. I remember what it's about. It's about programming nice sounds. So of course we have the little fatty, which is my preferred bassline synth, and it is well, it is what it is. It's a monophonic, badass synth. And then I have the Kurzwahl that I use as a mother keyboard when I want to do some nice keys, put down some keys, and whatever runs internally my VST instruments, I normally use this here to control it. I have a small little keyboard under my screens too over here, so that I use if I don't want to twist my whole body over to the side. Alright, so we have the main thing, my 2 nice 24-inch Dell screens that have been working the last 2.5 years perfectly. It's very nice to have a double screen setup, especially when you run programs like Nuendo, because I have my mixer here on the right side, I have my battery plugins, whatever I use, reverbs, delays, all this stuff, and my main sequencer window on the left. And I would have to say it saves a lot of time instead of opening up all these windows and having to deal with a lot of moving around windows. It's just time consuming. Alright, we have my main monitor system, which is a Genelec 1040A. These bad boys here. They are, I would say, a nice size for this room here. It's a small room, maybe actually a little too big, if anything. But they are, some people might call them sterile. I've kind of got used to the clarity in the high end by now, which is nice, and I really like the bottom end. So I spent a lot of time shaping bass drums and sculpturing bass sounds. I mean, my latest production has mainly been on really getting that low end to sit tight. So I think if you listen to my track, for example, Acid Test, that really kind of came out right. I was using these speakers, and my next track here, that is called, I don't even know what it's going to be called. Orange Tea, it's called now, 15. I think it's going to end up be calling Drunkicon or something. But they really help me, these speakers, to kind of really, shape the bottom end and make sure that everything sits very tight and doesn't come out too boomy in the clubs. As soon as you put it on a sub system or a system with a lot of sub, you have the whole thing going blah 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 blah. So shaping bottom end, important, and those guys help me do that. Alright, here we have the CC121, which is a customized Steinberg interface that you can use for, shaping all your sounds in Steinberg. I find it a little annoying. It works, but it has some issues, but all in all, it kind of relieves your right hand for spending too much time clicking and dragging and programming. And I use a ton of automation. I think you can see, if you just kind of scroll around in this track here, you can see here automation, 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 automation. Every single track basically has been automated in a ton of different ways, either adding effects, adding volume changes, changing the filters and all these things. So it's nice to have like a controller where you can kind of free up your right hand, so you don't end up with damage and your, I don't know what it's called, but you end up with problems if you use it too much. Alright, my rack, I've been doing music production for a couple of years now. I would say approximately 15 years now. So I've kind of collected all these pieces over the years, and I've thrown a lot of them out. But this is kind of the stuff that I've kept that I still feel can help my production. So I'm not only using the computer as a music production tool. So I kind of like to have a little bit of keyboards and outboard gear to kind of spice up the computer and save a little bit of CPU cost. In my rack I have the TS Electronic PowerCore Firewire. I use it all the time. All the Roland soundbox, it's has some decent expansion in it, so I still use it now and then. Motive rack, old module, but now and then it's good to have some sounds. This nice thing here is my Axis Virus TI. It is a great sounding thing and super complex. You can really do some crazy programming with it, and it's all controlled via the VST interface in Nuendo. So it's very easy to program and do automation on all the sounds. I use it a lot for my productions. This thing here is actually an analog mono synth. It's nice sounding, but honestly I don't really use it so much anymore now that I have the little fatty. I have here the FX Electric's Mo FX, which is a great sounding, a little noisy unit, but really nice sounds and very easy to tweak. And I normally have my Uno 60 going through this before I record it on my computer, so I can get some really tweaky sounds going on before I record it. Here we have my audio interface, which is the 5-Phase 800. It's a rock solid piece of gear. It's been working for me the last, I would say, 6 or 7 years. Since it came out, basically, I've had it in my rack. Here the Presonus ADL 600, which is produced by Anthony DeMaria, and he's a quite famous analog circuit engineer, and he did a really good job with this nice preamp. Very good sounding and good piece of gear, I have to say. Last year, Control Synthesis, which is basically like a 303 kind of clone that doesn't sound like a 303 TB303 in any way, but it's still a great sounding piece of gear. It's still a very nice analog bassline synth, so I use that for bassline when I am in need of some different sounding stuff. Okay, my messy corner here, which is my electronic drum kit. I use it to keep my drumming skills up. It's nice to have that kind of live drum feel in my track, so I try to kind of practice playing the drums so I don't forget what it's about. I have my guitar that I use now and then for some spacey atmospheres and stuff. It's a decent guitar, $90 of Craigslist, including amp. Yeah, Craigslist rocks. My Stingray, very nice Stingray from, I believe it's from '78. Very nice year, and really a nice bass, very warm. I use it in, I think, 5-6 of my tracks, and I would say they definitely aren't the same without this. Great sounding and full of love. My DJ setup, my awesome Mac, and Metric Halo sound card, great sounding sound card, and my CDJs, DJ909s. I have 2 of them. How can you not? Such a great freaking mixer. Some different modules and stuff, but I think I'll just make another video and explain you about my DJ setup another time. Probably better.